Hi, this is David for 10 on Tactics from TacticsAndTrials.com. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Today, we are going to do a deep dive into an important use of force case from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, Young v. County of Los Angeles, 655 F.3D1156. The case was decided in 2011 and was authored by Judge Stephen Reinhardt. The legal holding of this case is still good case law, and it has a significant impact on the law enforcement industry. This case arose from a traffic stop for initially a seatbelt violation in which a Los Angeles County Deputy Sheriff Pepper sprayed the plaintiff and struck him with a baton after plaintiff exited his vehicle and disobeyed the deputy's order to remain in his car. Initially, Deputy Wells pulled Young over for driving with an unfastened seatbelt and other motor vehicle violations. However, the case is significant for establishing that use of pepper spray and baton blows as excessive force when the severity of the crime is low, there is no threat of violence, there is no resistance to the arrest, and there are other less invasive means to accomplish police interests. Plaintiff Mark Anthony Young, a 46-year-old African-American Los Angeles County probation officer, was stopped by Deputy Richard Wells in February 2007 for failing to wear a seatbelt. Young had additional vehicle issues such as no side mirror or rear plate on the car. He eventually provided documentation so that the deputy could ascertain the status of the car. Though ordered to stay in the car by the lone deputy, Young left his car and sat on a curb eating broccoli and a tomato. Since the deputy could not see Young and also for officer safety issues, the deputy again asked Young to remain seated in his car. Young refused. Deputy Wells instructed him to return to his vehicle, to which Young began to yell at the deputy with such force that small particles of broccoli ended up on the deputy's uniform. Young remained seated on the curb line. It was pointed out to Young that since he was a probation officer, he knew the purpose and reasons for the deputy's command to stay in the vehicle and to allow the encounter to swiftly resolve. According to Young, Wells approached him from behind and sprayed pepper spray without warning. Young argued that he did not pose any threat before the spray was used, even though he refused the deputy's order to get back into his car. According to Young, as he stood up and attempted to back away from the pepper spray, Wells struck him multiple times with a baton, ordering him to the ground. Wells later claimed the baton strike was aimed to prevent Young from gaining an advantageous position or to prevent him from throwing the broccoli into the deputy's face as the deputy struggled by himself with Young. Unfortunately, the deputy's attorney failed to argue this important fact during the appeal, even though the deputy clearly stated such on the record below. During the struggle, Deputy Wells put out a call for assistance. Deputy Michael Burke arrived, ordered Young to lie down, handcuffed him, and placed his knee on Young's back. According to Young, Wells reportedly struck Young again while he was prone and shackled. Young complained of pain and pepper spray effects. Burke threatened to spray him again if he continued to resist. After several minutes, Young stopped struggling with the deputies, so the deputies allowed him to stand and loosened his handcuffs. He was then placed in the patrol car. Young eventually filed federal claims for excessive force, negligence, and false imprisonment. In district court, summary judgment was granted for the deputies and the county, concluding that Young's detention was lawful under California Penal Code Section 148(1), and the force applications were objectively reasonable. As to violation of Penal Code 148(1), the court found that the plaintiff's actions constituted a violation of California Penal Code, which deals with resisting, delaying, or obstructing officers in the discharge of their duties. In the appellate court, the court agreed that Young's refusal to obey a lawful order to sit in the vehicle gave the deputies probable cause to arrest him. However, the court found that pepper spray and baton blows are intermediate force, capable of significant pain or injury. This was the first time the court created the new category of intermediate force. The court then did an analysis pursuant to Graham v. Connor and held that the pepper spray and the baton strikes were excessive force. The court reviewed the Graham v. Connor factors, severity of offense. It was a minor offense with Mr. Young since it was only a seatbelt violation, which is a low-level offense. The court seemed to not factor in the resisting arrest charge and the other motor vehicle violations. Threat posed. Young was passively resistive and was only sitting on a curb line eating his broccoli, thus there was no threat to the lone deputy. Resistance. Young did not resist violently. Alternative measures. The court determined that the deputy could have used less forceful options, e.g. waiting for backup or verbal persuasion. Deputy Wells's use of pepper spray and baton strikes under these circumstances, as described by Young, was unconstitutional and excessive. Accordingly, the court reversed the finding on the negligence claim. Qualified immunity was denied for the deputies since clearly established law prohibited use of intermediate force absent any alleged threat. As to the allegation of false imprisonment, the court ruled in favor of the deputies. The court held that the reasonableness of a deputy's alleged fear of being attacked by a suspect armed only with broccoli and a tomato was an issue of fact that had to be tried before a jury. The court's key finding was that the use of intermediate force was unreasonable and the suspect clearly posed no threat to the officer or the public safety. As one source reported, "Because we conclude that the use of intermediate force is unreasonable when an officer has detained a suspect for minor infractions and the suspect clearly posed no threat." The Ninth Circuit's decision in Young v. County of Los Angeles is significant for several reasons. 1. Force continuum analysis. The court classified pepper spray and baton strikes as intermediate force rather than minimal force, recognizing the potential for significant pain and injury from these tools. 2. Totality of circumstances. The court emphasized that the analysis must consider the totality of circumstances, particularly noting that Young posed no threat to officer safety or the public safety. The underlying violation was minor, seatbelt violation, and there was no active resistance to arrest. Third, reasonableness. Standard, the decision reinforces that even lawful arrests can involve excessive force if the force used is unreasonable given the circumstances. This decision has several important implications for law enforcement and civil rights law. Training implications. The ruling suggests that officers must carefully evaluate the level of force appropriate for the specific circumstances, particularly in minor traffic violations. Qualified immunity. While not explicitly discussed in the available sources, the reversal of summary judgment suggests the court found the law was sufficiently clear that a reasonable officer would know the conduct was unlawful. The Young decision contributes to the body of Ninth Circuit law establishing that pepper spray and baton strikes constitute intermediate force. Such force may be excessive when used against non-threatening suspects in minor violation contexts. The severity of the underlying offense, or the offense the court considers as the underlying offense, is a crucial factor in the excessive force analysis. This is David for TacticsAndTrials.com. Until next time, be safe.